draw. Rangers get to it. Chipped, but not out. Shot by Johnson, blocked. And there's a chance. Score! I can't believe it. They did it again. They did it again.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Yeti Cave Radio Show. It's April 4th, 2014. I'm Alex Nicholas.
And I'm Max Willis.
And before we start the show, I need to bring up something today that happened to me on the way to class. Not related to hockey at all, but this is getting out of my car this morning, Max. Had my keys, the clicker on my keys do not work. Locked the car door by pressing the button on the door. Had the lanyard in my hand, shut the door. Lanyard got wrapped around the handle of the car door, ripped the keys out from in my hand, and threw the keys across the other side of the car onto the passenger seat, and it locked my keys in my car for a good amount of time. Was late handing in my radio project. I wish someone saw it or had a video. I closed the door, ripped the keys right out of my hand, door was locked. I let out one big explicit in the parking garage and just walked away shaking my head. It was truly something to see. I could not believe it. My professor just laughed at me. He could not believe it.
I can't believe that either. That's ridiculous. It's like a Jedi mind trick.
Shut the door, shot right up from underneath me.
Story straight out of a sitcom.
It was wonderful, but
it's like a plot to a Seinfeld episode.
It very well could be. It's like that parking garage thing, but just with the keys. But
did I miss Seinfeld?
Oh, we go into Seinfeld. We'll be here forever. It's a show about nothing. It's truly one of the best shows ever. And maybe we can work on getting Kramer in here at some point.
That'd be great.
But since our last show on last Friday, not too much has happened. Avs are 3-0 though, beating the Sharks, Blue Jackets, and the Rangers. I believe they're all playoff teams, and 3-0 in those 3 games. 2 of them went to overtime, and on top of winning the last 3 in a row, they're on a 5-game win streak. How ready do you think they are for the playoffs?
They're ready. I mean, Matthew Shane, missing him is going to be a big part, but still, I think he can do it. I think they can do it. They're playing much better. Their defense is starting to come around again, which is one thing they definitely needed. Eric Johnson stepping it back up we're talking he's playing about almost as good as he did when he came back from the the Olympics. But I think they're doing well.
Well, on that 5-game win streak, they've now moved past Chicago and are in second place in the Central Division. So, I mean, that's impressive in itself right there. They're not going to be able to catch St. Louis, I think, but still, second place in the Central Division. Would you have thought this for Colorado looking?
It was going to be a close matchup. I knew the entire time it was going to be a race for that second place position, but man.
They put some distance between the Blackhawks, 3 points now, and let's see, Colorado still has 1 game less than Chicago. So, I think the second place I think it's theirs.
I think this too.
Yeah.
It's undoubtedly theirs. They still have 5 games left. Chicago has 4. That 1 game, I think, is really going to help them out.
In those 6 games, I mean, I think if they I'm trying to think who are they playing in these next 6 games. I'll have to look that up. But I know the next one's going to be against the Blues, which, I don't think any team enjoys playing the Blues.
Nobody does. Nobody should. They're going to be the powerhouse team right now. And looks like hopefully it might be Dallas. I like to see Dallas getting the wild card, but Phoenix is right behind them. It's going to be a match to the finish for those two.
Both of which are teams that would scare me.
Oh, yeah.
Dallas, Phoenix, I'd say Dallas more than Phoenix, but
it's the Ben dudes.
The Ben is, and Sagan, dear God.
Sagan. Boston, you might have picked something up from him, but man, Sagan's playing on a new level and at a new location. I don't know. Was it me or was Sagan just being held back in Boston? I thought.
I think he was misused, like how the Penguins misused the Ginla kind of thing, almost. I don't think, or maybe not. They did. I don't think they didn't give Sagan a shot. I don't know. I just feel like. He went to a team that definitely they're not as good as Boston, and he's scoring all these goals. He's I believe he's in the top 10 for points in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's right there with 78 points. I think it was I don't know. I can't really think. I think it was a mistake that Boston let him go. I'm going to go with that. I really do.
It's close. when we're looking at the top point standing now, I'm noticing the difference. But Sagan right now, he's at the top of his game. I'll give him that. He's incredible. And I'm glad that in Dallas he's having success, and I hope he continues to have success in Dallas. And in the 10th position is Taylor Hall of Edmonton, who's not being misused, but I still think he's on the wrong team.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Taylor Hall. I mean, I really do think the Oilers are going to turn it around. People say, yeah, right, but
I have faith in them. But the thing though is, I wish they would move faster because there's so much talent on that team I like.
Yeah.
And I really just want them to do very good.
You got Eberle, Hall, Nugent-Hopkins. I think Yakupov's a joke. And, I mean, I think they have that talent to go very far.
What a waste of a first pick. You could have gotten Ryan Murray, but the Blue Jackets stole him.
Well, going back to the Avs here, NHL.com ran a story, one of their top stories about Tyson Barrie being an offensive threat who has 34 points, 11 goals, 23 assists, and I have to agree. I mean, he is the one that scored the game-tying goal versus the Rangers last night, and then he scored the winning goal in the shootout. I mean, this guy's a defenseman, but on that shootout goal, I don't know if you saw it, he undressed Lundqvist. I mean, it was a yard sale.
Took him to the yard sales. Probably searching on Craigslist beforehand, but man, he took him out.
It was a great move. I mean, this for a defenseman, this guy has a lot of moves. He's not built like Letang. He's not really as fast, I don't think, but he's got the moves and he's got the shot.
I think he does.
I would say he's definitely one of the most underrated players on the team, and he's going to be really important moving forward.
Oh, I think he is too. I don't know. Let's look it up here. I mean, but I want to see what his actual stats are, like age and all that, because isn't he like a young guy or?
He is. Yeah, he's only 22 years old.
Ooh.
I mean,
he was taken in the 2009 draft in the third round.
I mean, for a defenseman, I mean, he's got a great shot, a lot of moves.
Mm-hmm.
But also doing well, I don't think it's any surprise anymore, is Landeskog. He's got 7 points in his last 5 games. I mean, this guy's just putting the team on his back. I believe it was a Columbus game. He had 3 points and just carried the team. He's got, I mean, there's nothing I could really else I could say about him. I think he's going to be the reason I think the Avs are going to do well in the playoffs. I'm going to say it right now. I do think they could beat Chicago because that's who they would play. And Landeskog's going to be a big part of it.
That first round, they don't have Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews.
Are you sure they won't be back for the first round?
Jonathan Toews is out for the first round officially.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew he was out for the rest of the season. I thought Kane was going to be back, but
I don't know. I thought I read that he was out.
I know
for the first
Kane's
round.
going to be back, but I mean that's going to be a hell of a series. And the Varlamov won his last 5 games, only allowed 12 goals in those 5 games, but he won 5 of them. So the Avs are scoring more goals, but I don't think he wants to allow 12 goals in 5 games. I think he needs to tighten that up a little bit, but he's also won 8 of the last 10, so I mean, how much could you really complain?
Yeah, you can't really complain there.
And also another thing I read on Bleacher Report today was every team's most valuable player, and that was kind of shocking. They said it was Varlamov. I mean, I agree with them, but I felt like it could have been Duchesne or Landeskog. But I mean, Varlamov makes perfect sense to me the more I read it. I mean, he's been the cornerstone of the team, even though that little mishap when he was arrested earlier in the year.
Hey, it's all Steve Downey's fault. He's in Philadelphia, so I don't care about that anymore.
It's all hearsay. No one knows.
All Steve Downey.
And like I said, no update on Duchesne, but according to what I read, he still plans to return for the playoffs, or if not for the first game, he said he'd be back within the first couple games. I mean, do you think the Avs could win? Say, all right, worst case scenario, Duchesne does not make it back for the first round of the playoffs against Chicago. Do you think Colorado has a chance to still win without Matt Duchesne?
Yes. They've been playing well so far. I still think they have a chance.
I think they do, only if Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews is out, because I mean, there's going to be a lot of great matchups in that series. I mean, you have Landeskog and Toews, Duchesne and Kane. Like, you got a lot of players that you can match up with, like Talbot and Shaw. I mean, every player kind of matches up with somebody, and if they don't have Duchesne, someone's either going to have to step up big time. But I mean, I think he should be back. But if Toews and Kane both do come back, I think it's going to be rough. But I still think the Avs could do it because Toews is just there's nothing bad I could say about the guy. Mm-hmm. But he did get crucified by Brooks Orpik over the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, annihilated.
I'm going to throw up a quick prayer right now. I mean, I was watching that game, and I don't want to get going on this, but I will mention it. And I don't know if we could say it on the radio, but Mike Milbury is
a jackass,
an ass clown, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say a little bit more about him. I don't want to, but we should. This guy is an absolute disgrace, and if NBC doesn't do anything, I can't imagine that the NHL would allow this guy to go in the air, trash talk teams, tell them they need to play a more dirty style. The guy was a bum when he played. He was a waste of life.
He attacked a guy with a shoe, a fan with the shoe.
I mean, the guy was a friggin' joke, and he deserves to. Any one of us in this room could do a better job on this show. He doesn't deserve it. I mean, he's praising Thornton for punching Brooks Orpik in the face, and Thornton was a bad guy, and then Brooks Orpik throws the cleanest hit I've seen in a long time in the NHL, because it's getting kind of dirty out there. The cleanest hit I've seen right to Taves, puts him in the next week, and Mike Milbury has the audacity to say that Orpik plays with a predatory mentality. I would have reached to that TV screen and bashed him right in the face.
I think we all do. I mean, seriously, I just want to put him on the ice. Put him on the ice. I mean, he probably still can't skate with how fat he is. He put on some weight.
He is
fatty. But let's talk about like how if we put him out there again, he would be getting wrecked by all these young guys. I mean, Sidney Crosby, John Tavares, Steven Stamkos would make him look like a joke.
And I mean, I've never seen a guy. You work for NBC. You don't work for the Bruins. You work for NBC. I've never seen someone so biased that works for a network. Everything Boston does, it's praised and revered. I mean, Brad Marchand could take a stick and smack someone straight in the face, and he would find a way to make Marchand the victim here. But I mean, Orpik. It's not even Orpik. I mean, Milbury makes it so obvious that he does not like Crosby or the Penguins, for an example. I mean, if they win, they did good, but Sidney Crosby can't be doing this, he can't do that. Sidney Crosby could do whatever the hell he wants. He's got 102 points in 77 games, a ridiculous gap between first and second place in points. Mike Milbury should go out there against Sidney Crosby, and Sidney Crosby would give him a Crosby-worth concussion right to Mike Milbury.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I mean, another thing, even though it's not a Penguin show, what game was it the other day? God, I can't remember, but someone tried, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, Gudas, whatever, that raggedy guy, tried to throw a hit on Crosby. Crosby stood his ground and threw his shoulder into him and sent him flying. I mean, that guy's center of gravity is disgusting, and I would just like to see Crosby and Milbury go at it. If Milbury's got something to say, he should put on the skates. Hell, I'd go out there against him. The guy's a joke. We're going to end it at that. The guy's an absolute waste of life.
I agree.
But like I said, if the playoffs did end, I mean, I think this Chicago-Colorado would be the best series in the first round. I'm looking through the standings. I'm seeing it'd be say Boston, Columbus. I mean, that's really no fun.
Pittsburgh and Detroit. Oh, wow.
Well, Pittsburgh, Detroit, but Detroit's not the team they were, but neither is Pittsburgh over the last couple of days.
The injured reserved against the injured reserved.
I know. It's a shame because both teams are. I think Detroit's much better than the record they have right now.
I agree.
But I mean, I'm looking through. I mean, all right, maybe the Rangers Flyers would be a good one. Montreal Tampa Bay. Let's get real. I mean, that's nothing really there. San Jose LA. Okay, I guess. But I really think that the most interesting matchup I'm seeing in the first round is Colorado-Chicago. I
agree.
They both play a similar style, fast, they're young, and I think that would be a great first series.
Oh, I agree. Completely agree with that statement. That is probably the number one fight right now. And
as we ask on every show, after our last show and some standings have changed, who are your favorites going forward into the playoffs for Stanley? If you had to pick 2 teams from each conference that you think might make it to the Stanley Cup. 2 from the West, 2 from the East. Who's your top?
Boston's a given.
Absolutely.
Boston and
I say Boston, and I want to say Pittsburgh, but I'm been reluctant. I mean, over the last...
Boston, definitely.
But, you see, it's Boston, Pittsburgh, and there's no one else I really sticks out to me in the standings, but Pittsburgh, has not been playing well, but I'd say Boston, and I don't know, who else are you going to go with?
I'm just going to have to stick with the other guy, Pittsburgh. I mean, there's no one else that stands up to me. I mean, Philadelphia right now, if you haven't noticed, has not scored in the past 6 periods.
Well, that's a hell of a time to struggle. I mean, they're playing the Flyers next Saturday. I'm sure they'll score about 35 goals and no problem. But I mean I don't know. I really think it's going to be Pittsburgh or Boston. But I think the West is a lot harder to pick 2 teams because there's 3 of them in the Central. I like. I mean, who's your top 2 in the West?
Top 2 in the West? St. Louis. And right now, I'm currently going to have to say...
I'm reluctant to say Anaheim as well. I really don't think they're going to... I think they're going to choke.
I think it just might be St. Louis. And possibly, I could see San Jose finally making a push. I mean, they have bad luck in the playoffs. But
yes, they do.
Terrible luck in the playoffs, but they might have the chance this year.
Yeah, I think I would go to your St. Louis and San Jose, Pittsburgh and Boston.
Because I really don't see LA making the largest push anymore this season, but I also don't see Anaheim.
I don't know. LA has been doing fabulous over the last few games, and another thing I read on NHL.com is they're kind of rewriting the script that they did in 2012, where they got hot right towards the end of the year. They won about 6 games in a row, 7 games in a row, and if you can carry that into the playoffs like they did and just burn through the playoffs, keeping that guy, it's a scary team. In the West. I mean, no one really gives them enough credit because they've been in 3rd in the Pacific pretty much the entire year. But, I mean, they are a great team. And, I mean, I don't know. I think I just give up picking people because there's so many teams that I like, and there's so many good teams that didn't make it or won't make it to the playoffs. Well, Toronto only deserves that. I think they lost 9 in a row before winning their last 2. What do you think Toronto's chances are of making it now? I think they're 1 point behind Columbus. 2-8 in their last 10. Yeah, they lost. Is it 8 or 9 in a row? Is there a worse possible time to lose 9 games in a row than the end of the season?
It's all about the Kessel train, man. You got to keep it going. You can't only have Kessel running the show here. Because Kessel's looks can't get you into the playoffs. His production might, but his looks can.
His looks are criminal.
Very criminal. But, I mean, right now, Toronto is the... looking at this, Washington has 5 games left, and with those 5 games, they have to at least get all 10 to even come back in the playoffs, because Detroit and Columbus both have 5 games too. I think Washington, Toronto is the borderline of where I'm taking a guess of who's in the playoffs. Who's in the race for the wild card. Toronto, Columbus, and Detroit are the only ones left.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, like I said, their next game is against the Blues, and kind of a scary stat for Colorado. The Blues are 3-0 versus the Avalanche this year, outscoring them 13-5 in those 3 games. I mean, the Blues have Colorado's number, and if they were to meet in the playoffs, I think Colorado's going to have to change something, and that's got to start this Saturday. I mean, 13-5 in 3 games. I mean, Colorado. I mean, I was looking through the scores, and Colorado got blown out in 2 of those. I think one of them was 7-1.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad.
So I mean, they're really going to have to prove to me that they could hang of St. Louis if they're going to win the Stanley Cup. But like I said, that game is Saturday at 12 o'clock at St. Louis. It'll be on Altitude TV.
I definitely think, though, for the Blues, what helps the Blues right now is they used to be just a completely young team. Right now, I just think what's with the Blues is that they finally got some veteran presence on that team that really helped them out. Like David Backes, I know he played for them, but he's basically a huge part of their crew now. And whenever they sign Jamie Langenbrunner and all those other veterans to help teach these young guys how to play, and damn, did it work.
I mean, they stockpiled, they did it the right way. I mean, Ryan Miller is fabulous. I mean, that guy deserves so much better than Buffalo. I've lost all faith in Buffalo getting any better. I've lost all faith in Florida getting any better. I think Calgary's going to be bad for the rest of my life. I mean, there's just some teams I don't see doing well. And another thing, I always bring up something Mark Madden said, and a 30-team, people put so much pressure on these teams to win. And in a 30-team league, you know how hard it is to win a championship? I mean,
yeah.
And then people say, oh, they haven't won in so long. There's 30 teams. One team could win each year, and there's 30 of them trying to do the same thing. I mean, I don't know. Would you ever reduce the number of teams in the league? Was that something?
That's something I wouldn't do. I couldn't do it.
I don't know. I like hockey too much. I don't think I could do it, but it also would make sense. I mean, or maybe try and. It's like with all these sports, like football. I think there's just too many teams. You have 30 teams, and then there's just teams that aren't going to win. It's very clear. Like Buffalo, great hockey town. Florida, not so much. Islanders. I mean, I think we could just do without some of these. Put those guys on other teams. I mean, that's just a theory. But I don't know. 30 teams is a lot to win a championship, and let alone win 4 series when you make it to the playoffs. Winning 2 playoff series is fantastic, but if you got to win 4 of them, I don't know. I just think it's rough, and people are putting too much pressure on some of these teams.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy for them.
St. Louis has never won, though, correct?
Mm-hmm. St. Louis has never won a Stanley Cup. There's only I think there's actually only 8 teams that have never won a Stanley Cup.
I'm trying to think who else. Nashville, I believe, is one.
Nashville,
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Dallas did win.
Dallas did.
LA, yes. Trying to think. Colorado won 2. I know that. Toronto, of course. But I don't know. I think there's just far too many teams in the league, and you can't put this much pressure on them.
You can't, but I mean, sometimes too long is too long. But here are the teams that have never won a Stanley Cup. The St. Louis Blues, the Buffalo Sabres, the Vancouver Canucks. Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Thought
The
they won
Washington
one.
Capitals, the San Jose Sharks, Florida Panthers, Winnipeg Jets, Phoenix Coyotes,
Well,
Nashville Predators, the Atlanta Thrashers, Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, and Columbus Blue Jackets.
God.
Some of them have made it past have made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, but the Thrashers and Jets, the new Jets, have never won a Stanley Cup playoff series. The Columbus Blue Jackets have never won a Stanley Cup playoff series.
Yeah, and I don't think they will this year either.
I don't think they will.
They're pretty low in the wild card standings. They'd either play Pittsburgh or Boston. God bless.
If they make, I hope they just give Boston a run for their money. Like Boston comes in like, oh, this is an easy playoff series. Game 7, 6 times overtime.
I wish I could say it, but I just don't see it.
I don't
Boston
see it
is a
either.
freaking juggernaut. But
They're actually, I think a fun stat I saw was Columbus this season is 0-7-1 against Boston and Pittsburgh combined.
oh, very nice. Well, I mean, Pittsburgh, I don't want to give them any credit moving into the playoffs right now because they're scaring the hell out of me. I mean, what a time for a collapse. And another thing I need to say, not a Pittsburgh show, but some of the players that we have on that roster right now don't even belong in the. They'd be struggling to get a spot in the AHL. Jason Megna, Brian Gibbons. I mean, those 2 guys right there, you play in a series against Boston, those 2 little boys are going to be manhandled. I read a stat that Pittsburgh is the lightest team. One of the lightest. If not the lightest, maybe the second. The second lightest team in weight. Like, we have a lot of small guys. I mean, Sutter is a twig. Gibbons and Megna, you could just pretty much pick up over your head. I mean, Bo Bennett. We're
really small. And I blame that. Like, I gotta say, though, I don't like... We might draft really high-quality defensemen, but drafting the forwards is not our forte.
I know, believe me.
We cannot sit...
I want to see Gibbons and Megna do well, but I mean, at their size, and I mean, I don't know how... I must kind of get the Crosby. I mean, I like Bennett playing with Crosby, but when Megna and Gibbons have to play in a line of Crosby probably hates his life. I mean, those guys, I guess they're fast, but their skill level is nowhere near Crosby. You can't set him up with someone like that. But you have any other comments here before we wrap up this show? On a beautiful Friday. It looks like it's going to be raining for the rest of the weekend. So
Beautiful.
Just rain always comes just in time for the weekend. But any other comments before we wrap it up here?
Nope. Go Avs, go.
Yeah, mate. Got nothing to say, and yeah, go Avs, go. We'll be back next Friday, and like I said, Saturday it's going to be the Blues and the Avs on Altitude TV. Make sure you catch that game, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
On a feeling, on a portion, let us then